Hey there, you guys. It's Steph with Beautifully Changed, and I am just sending some love and positivity your way. And I hope you are having a phenomenal day. And if not, remember, you're in charge of your mindset. Today, I have a guest with me that I am just having a conversation with. His name is Michael Fiame. Michael is originally from a small town in Michigan. He grew up with his mother and his sister. His mother is a full blooded German and worked very hard to raise him and his sister. He can describe himself as a quiet, observant, and curious person. He hated school, but he didn't find it difficult either. By the time he came to his own senses about school, it was too late to get a diploma. At that time, he had been interested in technology and was kind of a nerd. But he also enjoyed going out with friends, partying, and taking risks. After high school, he was working in a factory and in 2 years came to the realization that it wasn't going anywhere in his life. His father came back into his life and offered to help. He took the offer and packed up his car. In February 2008, he started fresh and things went well. Over several years, he made a lot of good friends, cut back on the partying, got his first apartment, received his GED, married, kids, changed jobs a few times, moved into his first home, college, divorce, and had a lot of everything in between. The last 10 years have been equally joyful and difficult. Through suffering, he has learned a lot about what is truly important and his purpose. He now works as an engineer, raising his wonderful 2 boys, helping his mother, while she also helps him, and continuing to invest in himself to provide a better life for the people he loves. I've noticed that you have a lot of motorcycle pictures on your Instagram.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit about what it's like for you to ride a motorcycle and own a motorcycle. Like, what does that bring to your life?
I think recently for the motorcycle, group that I'm slowly building, it's not like a huge thing. It's just sort of just a couple guys getting together, whenever we can, all different walks of life. But we call it throttle therapy. So another form of like escapism, or even a little bit of maybe a hint of meditation
Mm.
in a sense.
Tell me more about
Like
that.
mindfulness. Just because when you're riding, you're not really thinking about anything. You're just enjoying the ride. You're just looking around you, so going on sort of like adventures, just exploring new areas. So there are the. I'm a street rider. I don't go off road, but there's that.
Okay.
So if you're more adventurous, you go off road, see new areas. But you know, it's weird because I want to say like it helps you kind of be closer to nature, but there's nothing about it that's has to do with nature except for the scenery. So
Like, because
it's,
it's wide open, you can see everything around you type thing. Is that?
yeah, it is a sense of freedom in a way because you're not in a cage, you're not in a box in a way where you're riding on the road and you really don't think of anything. You're sort of carefree. Like when you're in a car and you're driving, you got airbags, you got all this safety equipment, and you could have your latte in one hand, you're steering with your knee, you got your phone in the other hand, you're picking music, and maybe even like you're smoking a cigarette. You can do all of this at once, but not on a bike. You can't do that. So it allows you to become more focused and less distracted.
Hmm.
Uh, while you're riding, and when you're on like a nice long road, getting to a destination or something, you just go. You don't think about anything. You're not thinking about what's going on at home or what you're gonna do after the ride. But once you get to where you want to go, usually the road itself has got something interesting to see.
Okay.
So yeah,
So, how old were you when you first started riding?
riding my motorcycle.
Yeah.
I actually I don't know where it even came from, because it was just recently. I think I've only been riding for a couple of years,
Okay.
so I'm quite new. But I'm like one of those people who once I get into something, I'm like borderline obsessed with it. I want
Okay.
to learn everything about it. I want to fully understand everything about it before I get into it. And once I do, like, I need to find a step-by-step guide on how to do it in the best way, with the best form. It's all about the process. So that's how I went into it because I was really scared because
Okay.
you hear all the horror stories. It hasn't been long since I've been doing motorcycle riding. I guess I'm just trying to find just new things for myself, new hobbies.
That help you express who you are and just be true to yourself.
Just a sort of, I'm, I'm a single father. I have a lot of responsibilities. I work full time. I did college full time for a while as well. So there wasn't a lot of time for me. And the gaming part of my history, I used to be a huge gamer. I found that I did not have as much joy in it any longer. And I played a lot. Like, I gamed for probably 15 years of gaming. I was a teen, maybe younger, all the way up until, like, 30.
Okay.
And it became a problem. And now I don't really enjoy it as much. And now I'm trying to find something new, like something new about myself, like you're saying, a new sort of appreciation for who I am, different things.
Wow, that's really great that you're being able to find something. And it sounds like motorcycle is actually something that you're really enjoying.
Yes, yes, but I actually, I think the timing was right. But last night I actually had like a nightmare that I fell on my bike, and it actually happened twice. I think the one time it was a small one. The other time I like completely lost control. Um, but it wasn't scary. It was more like, holy crap, like I was really surprised when it happened. And I think that's usually how it plays out. I don't think anybody riding a motorcycle is ever expecting it. So that reality has become, I don't know, it's something that you have to accept if you buy a motorcycle.
That you could crash.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and it's life threatening. So I'm very like, I always wear a helmet. I wear a helmet always. I refuse to not wear one.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
smart.
yeah, so that's bare minimum, a helmet. Um, Otherwise, even with a helmet, you can become paralyzed. So,
Yeah,
there's that. We're pretty fragile. We're pretty fragile human beings. We're like organisms. We don't have a protective shell or anything to help us survive besides our brain. So that's why I protect my brain.
Okay, so would this
Mhm.
be something that's kind of true to your nature? Is that you like to take a little bit of a risk or do something that could be risky, yet you also want to take the smart way of doing it? You want to enjoy the experience, but you don't want to do it without safety precautions?
Yeah, yeah. I think I would never. I do enjoy risk, and I enjoyed it more when I was younger. Definitely. I was involved in like a lot of. It wasn't like horrible. There was some illegal activity that I was involved in, uh, but I was careful. I wouldn't just say, it's not gonna happen to me. I'm not gonna get caught. Like, I was very aware of the risks, and I would always try to find ways to prevent the risk or to reduce it, and enough to where I was comfortable taking the risk and enjoying that thrill.
Okay.
And I don't think it was actually for the thrill. I think it was just a feeling of power, I guess, in a way. It's almost like another level of control.
To have
You
control
know,
over something?
yeah, it's just like it's like that sense of control or something you don't have control of. So, like in the case of the motorcycle, I get on the bike, I ride it. I could be the best motorcycle rider in the world. I mean, but things can still happen. It's always a possibility.
Right, because you only have control over so much.
Correct. Yeah. So I think that's where that element lies in the thrill of the risk. This, like, the feeling of control, but knowing I don't have 100%.
Yeah, that's a good point. That you have a little bit of control, but not a ton. So you got to kind of also trust the process.
Hmm.
Do you
Right, right.
do you think that when it comes to risk that they've changed or they change for people as we age?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have more to lose. And maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I got on the bike because I have more to lose, which it seems counterintuitive. Like why would I do something that's life threatening when I have more to lose? As a single guy, they tend to take more risks, I think,
Mm-hmm.
on a bike. Hence why you hear a lot about accidents and things because they do something they shouldn't be doing. Um, or they're not wearing protection. They think that they're invincible. But yeah, as we get older, I guess the weight factor and risk tends to be higher, especially when you're talking about life threatening situations. So,
Hmm.
I don't know, but there's just so much joy in doing and taking that. Is getting on a motorcycle and just having all that power, available. So,
So
I don't
power
know.
is a word
Hmm.
that you've mentioned a couple times. So can you define power for me?
Defining power.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I think power and control are closely related,
Okay.
right? And I think that's a part, but I guess I've questioned myself in the past about as being a man is well, where my like where does manlyhood come from? Where manliness comes from, and that's something that I think is really important as being as such, and because that's what I am. If I was a woman, on the other hand, I would be asking the same questions of like what makes me a woman, and that's and I wouldn't say that power is inherent of a man, but we are given physical power relative to a woman, and how you use that power is really important. And I think now more than ever in our culture, men and women are starting to we're starting to see this. Just I don't know. I really don't know what's going on with it. It's very confusing, and I try to stay out of it as much as I can. But I know as an individual, what can I do to better myself for those that are around me. So my children, my family, my friends, co-workers, that sort of thing. Like what value can I bring? So all of those receivers of my ability of what I value I bring to them in their lives, is reciprocated. So it's I love my children, they love me. I help my coworkers, they help me. We help each other out. The organization benefits. If I help my family, there's just more love surrounding everybody in the family. Um, so for me, power is really important to have control. And if I can't get more of it, and then I don't have as much leverage to provide for those that I care about. So that's where power is. It's very generalized. I don't know. Coming back to it, the definition, you could take it as at face value, but when you see someone with a lot of it, you tend to think they're going to abuse it.
Hmm.
But that's not necessarily true. So it varies
Yeah.
from
So
person to person.
it almost sounds like for you, Michael, that power is knowing what your abilities are and being able to provide good things to those around you to uplift their life.
Yeah, because where's the meaning? Where's the purpose?
Mm.
If you're not helping others, you're just filling whatever it is or all your wants and desires. Then what are you left with? And I don't know. I mean, you could have everything, but have nothing. I don't know if that makes sense.
That does make sense. That
Yeah.
does.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, yeah. So I'm trying to create purpose and meaning. That's been the latest chapter, or I don't know about chapter, excerpt of my life I've been looking at. So I've read. I pretty much got through the first part of Viktor Frankl's book, and I'm into like the second part where he talks about his like uh, logotherapy or logotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've been thinking more about the meaning, and there's a line in it that keeps coming up, and it's like, we shouldn't be asking ourselves, what's the meaning of life. We should be, or what is actually happening is that life is asking us, it's asking us what we can bring uh, meaning to, like what life is asking us, like what we're bringing, as opposed to what's life giving giving us. So,
Yeah. So what are
so with
we
man,
giving life versus what is life giving us?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good book. It's pretty
Yeah,
powerful.
I love it. Yeah, I was like, man, I seriously could not put it down. I was like, I read like almost half of it in one night. I was like, I looked at my I looked at my clock. I'm like, oh, I gotta go to bed. So that's a good book.
Yeah, we're talking about Man's Search for Meaning, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, it's a pretty great book. Um, what would you say is that your biggest takeaway that you've gotten out of it so far? Is it's more about what we're giving to life instead of what we're getting from life?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's something I think is I don't know. I haven't given it a ton of thought because it's kind of a heavy question. It's like when I saw it, I was like, oh man, I never, I don't know if I want to think about this right now. you know,
Mm.
like it's very heavy because I feel like we're always, at least at some point, you're gonna ask yourself, what am I doing here? I mean, what's going on? like what am I supposed to be doing? What's the if you're religious, it might be God. What is God's, what does He has in store for me? If you're someone who's spiritual, it's like, what is the universe asking of me? What am I here for? What's my purpose?
Yeah, that is a big question that a lot of people have. And then sometimes we get confused once we find our purpose. We think that everything's going to go smoothly from that point forward and that we're not going to face as many challenges. And really, we do. We always will face challenges. And I think that's one thing that's beautiful about that book, Man's Search for Meaning, is that it talks about these incredible, horrific challenges that these people face. And they were still able to find meaning in their day. At least Dr. Frankel was, right? He took care of other people and just found ways to get lost in his thought about things that he cared about. Um, but he still faced challenges. And then he talks about how suffering, right? If we all suffer, and there can be a lot of meaning in that suffering. So I'm wondering with you, Michael, is there any challenge that you know that you've gone through in life that has made you a better person?
Well, there was a time that I did live alone, even though so I had my children, they're with me, and of course things happened in my life that changed my living situation with my children, and they were gone for quite some time. But knowing that during that time they were gone, I was I was working on myself because I knew the time that I put in would pay off later on for them. So I suffered in the sense that I had no life. It was work in college for almost 3 years. And during that time, it was probably the hardest time of my life during then because I was going through divorce. I was going through, my children not being around and, my people involved, like my family, seeing what was going on, being very supportive. And I was very, very fortunate for that. And even some of the people I was going to college with were very supportive that knew of my situation. So it was during that time I wanted to quit. I wanted to just stop doing everything and just leave because my kids were not even in the state that I lived in. So I actually I was considering just like giving it all up, selling everything and going out there and just trying to make something work that was going to inevitably fail. So it would have been suicide. It would have been just the worst decision if I did go that route. But I just I got through it. And it's weird because when you're going through the suffering, it doesn't feel like it's going to end. It doesn't feel like it's going to end at all. It feels like I knew that there'd be a day I would look back and I would think, man, this now it's just a story. But when you're actually living through it, I don't know, it's hard. It is very difficult.
It is hard. It's hard to see the end, that the end's going to eventually come. It's like, I like how you said you knew that it would eventually end, but it's like when?
right. The what is it? Days are long, years are short, and that's what it felt like. Every day just felt like just it felt like another day, but the same thing forever.
Mm. Like Groundhog Day,
So
a little bit.
yeah, right, yeah.
Okay,
It
so
feels like that.
it feels like that. But you got through it,
Yeah.
and now you feel like you're a better person because of it.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. I feel like that the now that I have those things in my life again that really mean something to me, that all the work I put in, it really paid off. Uh, for in many ways, it paid off. If it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for getting my bachelor's and finding a new job, um, which was the purpose, of course, of college,
Mm-hmm.
was to get a better a career path. I wasn't able to have leverage in my divorce to get my children to live with me. So it sounds kind of bad because it sounds like I know I play my cards right. That's kind of how I look at it. It's like I knew that the only way I'd win, quote unquote, win, would be to put myself in a position where I couldn't lose.
Mm. So you suffered for a few years not being able to have as much contact with your kiddos as you would like, knowing that in the end they would be with you.
Yeah, actually, I called them every day. Actually,
That's awesome.
yeah, I called them every day. So and some days it didn't work out, but most days it did. So there was that, and FaceTime, of course, and
Mm.
holidays. So yeah, I mean, everything revolved around getting to see them and being in their life and as much as I can. Because I didn't have a father growing up, so that means a lot to me to be able to do that for them.
Okay.
And yeah,
So
there's a
then
lot. There's a
that is
lot going on here,
that is a
right?
lot. That is a lot. So when you say, okay, so this will be my next question for you then.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So what beliefs do you live by, knowing when it comes to, I guess just anything in general, when it comes to like these challenges, going through it, knowing that suffering can happen, but it's not necessarily going to last. Something really great can come out of it, and knowing that you didn't have a dad growing up, but it sounds like being a dad is really important to you, and that you really want to be involved and a huge part of your kiddos' lives. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay,
You got
so
it. You hit the nail on the head.
what beliefs do you think you would say you live by?
The beliefs I have, I'm working on them. I think like we all are.
Right.
Um,
They're always evolving
yeah.
with us as we evolve, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to not be corny, or cheesy or anything like that.
People like
Um,
cheesy. It's okay if your beliefs sound cheesy.
yeah. Right. Yeah. I think I want to come off as authentic as possible,
Mm-hmm.
because I value that as authenticity. So if you feel a certain way, express yourself in that way. You should just be who you are.
Okay.
But we're not perfect. That's fine. Um, but always trying to put your best foot best foot forward.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, being authentic. Well, and I think integrity ties into that. That's like my favorite word is integrity.
Integrity
I've used
meaning
it for
like
years.
do the right thing. Always do the right
Yeah,
thing.
always do the right thing, even if no one's looking,
Okay.
which can be difficult because we do things all the time. We're like, no one's looking. All right, watch this, and you're kind of do it yourself. It's like you're on your own witness.
Yeah, you're your own
Um,
witness. Like the honor code, right?
yeah, yeah. So I think integrity. But in order to play, okay, so for me to play off about what we were talking about earlier, with family, it's yeah, I'm trying to instill the idea to my kids that family will always be there, and they're never going to go away. So, uh, you don't always have to like them, but they're family. So, love one another and help each other because those are the people that are going to be with you throughout your whole life. Friends come and go. You're going to have friends. You may get lucky and you might have some of those friends that last a lifetime. But don't always count on that. But you can count on family. So with me having two boys, and I had a sister,
Okay.
never had a brother, but I knew that if I had a brother, that'd be the stuff that I want to know. So I'm putting a lot into my kids because I know that this is the most important time in their life. So I'm really focusing on my children, and I think if all parents can do that, we will see that the next generation will figure it out.
Do you have any current projects you're working on?
Projects. Wow. Let's see. I'm really focusing on my career because it's actually exposed. Now that I've been here 2 years, it starts some of my weaknesses. Um, so last week there was a meeting for the board of directors for our organization where I work, and they wanted us to do a presentation, and I kind of bombed it. Like I was up there. There was like 20 dudes who are like millionaires. So they're investors, CEOs, CFOs, the chairman. And they were just doing their quarterly meeting in the area, wanting to get to know the local companies that they own and to hear a little bit about how we're doing. But they're like dollars and, kind of guys. They want to hear about dollars, money.
Okay.
And what I do is not that. So I was a nervous wreck because everything I had to say, they just didn't get it.
Oh.
Yeah. So I know that as a public speaker, I need to work on that. So I've considered Toastmasters.
Oh. So that's kind of what you got out of it. So this challenge came, you felt like you could have done better, and then you're like, okay, my solution is I'm going to join Toastmasters and learn how to nail this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Have you gone to a Toastmasters meeting yet?
I've read their little like handbook that they have because there's a structure. There really is to it, and all kinds of tips. But a lot of it is like just doing it. You have to get in there and do it.
Mm.
And I've yet to do so because there's like different clubs. You have
Okay.
to go in, I guess, and kind of see like interview to
Okay.
understand to know if you want to be a part because you have to pay, I believe, to be a member.
Mm.
So I think that would be the best way to approach this. Otherwise, I'm just going to be going in there and winging it every time and cross my fingers and hoping for the best.
Yes. So Toastmasters might kind of be your speech helmet,
Yeah, right.
right?
Yeah, that
So,
would be the way. And they know what they're doing.
yeah.
That's the purpose. So why not go to the experts? Why try to figure it out on my own?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I've heard everybody who goes to Toastmasters gets a lot out of it. So, isn't that even Warren Buffett's like one of his proudest moments is when he completed a public speaking course? Like he has
Yeah,
that
yeah.
framed on his wall in his office versus like all these other accomplishments he's done. That's like his number one most valued accomplishment is his public speaking course, I think. I don't know, I could be wrong, but
No, I remember hearing that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Warren Buffett is yeah, he's all about the Toastmasters, going in there and doing it because it's an incredibly important skill. Not a lot of people can do it. It's not easy. People fear public speaking more than they fear death.
Yeah.
So and even if you can speak publicly, it doesn't mean you're good at it. You may not be effective in your
Yeah.
message or what you're trying to convey, or maybe people might see you as being very scripted as well.
Mm.
So
Yeah, there's a lot of tips out there. And it could be true that Toastmasters teach different skills than when you go to school and learn a communication class. They might show some different skills that actually are more effective than
It's an art form, really. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think public speaking,
for sure.
definitely. So yeah, I think there's a lot of value in it, and I would love to pursue it. So I'm aware of it. Now I gotta take the steps to do so. So put some time aside, pop into one of their meetings and see what happens.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's pretend that you do go to Toastmasters and you become this phenomenal presenter. And knowing that creating purpose and meaning are extremely important to you. So let's pretend you had $10 million to dedicate to a project. What would it be and how involved would you be in that project?
Wow. $10 million for a project to
Mm-hmm.
convey my message as a public speaker
As anything,
or
whatever you
anything. Oh,
wanted to
anything in
do,
this project. Hmm.
just that it created purpose and meaning that's important to you.
Maybe start giving away some of these books that really people need to, pick up. I don't know. I would love to maybe kind of like Ty Lopez in the beginning. Remember a while back when he first started? I think one of his first TED Talks was about reading, like getting people to read books. And I think that would be extremely valuable, especially in this day and age, because I mean, audiobooks are quite popular. I think becoming more and more popular, podcasts, that sort of thing. So, like just like this, there's a lot of audio.
Mm-hmm.
So, but getting a book in your hand, there's something different. There's something different about having a physical thing in your hand. It's kind of like having a vinyl of your favorite band. It's the having that thing in your hand. So maybe trying to find ways to get books that would help enrich people's lives to better themselves, to find purpose, to find creativity, to open their mind to being better to the people. You're honoring your neighbors. And being part of your community, like doing things that really are and make you feel good. I don't know. That like helping others, kind of that gift that keeps on giving,
Oh, I like that. It's like a book
right?
drive for the masses.
Yeah, because I doesn't so my kids actually, what's her name? Dolly Parton. She gives books to kids, little children's books
Yes.
when they're born, right? And so she has that. So it would be kind of like that, I think. I mean, there's a lot of material, but you have there's a company I think called like Mentor Box where you can subscribe for books like that. But if we could just give those books to people, I don't know if that would be enough for someone to actually pick it up and read it, but I don't know if it's right in front of you and enough people say something about it, maybe they'll say, okay, I'm going to pick it up and read it. So
Yeah.
I think that's where the $10 million would come in, is trying to figure out a clever way of getting people to pick up the book and read it.
That's fantastic. And do you have like books in mind that would be part of this book drive? I'm going to call it book drive. Do you have a better name for it?
Book drive. I think
Okay.
that's great.
Okay. So, are there certain books that you're like,
Book
"Oh my
drive.
gosh, these would have to be in this book drive for these people." I mean, they have community libraries now where they have like on the sidewalk a little like a little box and people will put books in there for people to come and take, which is pretty neat. So, but I like your idea
Uh,
of like expanding it, making it like just available to all these people because a lot of people want to read books. They just, even though sometimes a book is $15, that's out of some people's budget.
yeah,
So,
it'd be nice if we could have like an exclusive list, from like start to finish. It's like you read them in this order, and here you'll have a toolbox to really, really take, I don't know, a bite out of life, and like to get and just get going with it, and really get the gears turning. So
yes.
it'd be like maybe that plan, that layout, and then slowly say, okay, once they start finishing it, to move on to the next one, and they would just come into the mail slowly or something like that. Every, you know,
Oh,
month or two, maybe.
that's nice.
So,
Like a maybe even
um,
like a book club to have discussion around it. Sorry, I'm adding to
yeah,
your thing.
yeah. Just keep. That's the idea.
Yeah.
It's just starting. It's brainstorming.
Yeah.
So this is just completely off the cuff, but I think that with our digital devices nowadays, we read so much garbage. There's so much junk. The fake news and all that, but and opinions that suddenly become facts. I don't know how that works, but everyone's a doctor. But yeah, so yeah, the books. I mean, that's something that's really just some substance there.
What books would you include in this list?
So
Just a
what
couple
would I
of
put
them.
in this list?
Yeah, what would you put in this
I,
list?
I, I mean, I think Tim Ferriss has got to be in there. I mean,
Okay.
there's so many people I talk to, and they get hooked when they
Mhm.
start reading his stuff. So if you're about business, you got the 4 hour work week. If you're about uh, food, you got 4 hour chef. If you're about fitness, you got the 4 hour body. So I mean, that's just like a small idea. Is starting out with his stuff.
Yeah, Tools of Titans is pretty phenomenal as well.
Tools of Titans. Yeah, I need to pick that up. I all I have is I just got Tribe of Mentors. That's all I have.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
don't have that one yet, but Tools of
but I
Titans,
did
like,
read,
so good.
but even the books that he recommends, you could go to his YouTube or his site, whatever, and he talks about them. But I picked up, yeah, the Effective Executive, Peter Drucker, awesome, holy crap, you know, and being in a manager's role, I've gotten a lot out of this book, the Effective Executive, because
Okay.
it just helps you make decisions, which we do every day, all the time, constantly.
True.
Another one that I found that I seriously just picked up like randomly is "Barking Up the Wrong Tree" by
Oh,
Eric Barker.
okay. I haven't read that one.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good because there is so much references. It's seriously everything this guy talks about is fact. It's all fact, and he references everything on every page, and like there's probably like let me see if I can even find how many there is. There's probably like I don't know 75 pages of just references.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, tons.
Wow.
And it's easy to read because you get a nice chunk of facts and then some real world sort of scenarios you can relate it to, and then back to some more facts and stories and that sort of thing. So
Oh,
I
nice.
found that a good read. And The Emperor's Handbook is
Okay.
really good.
Okay. And so would you say then that books are the most gifted item that you think enhances lives?
I don't gift them unless I know they're a reader. Then I'm
Okay.
like, oh my god, I want to buy you all the books.
Okay.
That's a problem because not a lot of people do it. Like, yeah, have you read that one book? And they're like, what? I
Yeah.
read Otter. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'm not hating. I'm hating on fiction, but any nonfiction, no. I'm like, okay, so you use reading as for escapism. I get it.
Yeah.
Like we all have that in some form, which you have to have, I believe. But you have to have something. You have to be continuing to educate yourself. So if I can find someone who says, "Oh yeah, like I've read uh, Think and Grow Rich," I'm like, "All right, so you read this one? How about that one? What about some other ones? You got any recommendations? Come on, man, what you got?" And they're like, "Okay, I'll read those." They're kind of like thrown off. So I haven't found anybody with the same passion about it as I have, but it's for me it's actually newly acquired. I haven't read like all my whole life,
Hmm.
which really I now knowing that how much value it has, I'm trying to get my kids to enjoy it, and they do. So I read to them every night,
That's wonderful. That's really great. And I think
and
that's
they
why
see me read.
audiobooks are so important now or so popular now is that people just like they don't like to read, so if they listen to it, they just blow through books now. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can listen to it passively, but I think some books after you don't really know until you realize you start listening to it because they're gonna say okay, like you're driving your car, right? They're gonna say okay, write down 3 things. Like no, I can't. All right, I'm trying to drive. Like I can't do
Right.
this right now.
Yeah,
So
you might miss out
that's
on the
like
exercises.
yeah. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna do that, and I don't. So
Uh,
so I lose the value out of it by not doing the exercises and trying it.
okay, so let me ask you then, if somebody's not a reader, what do you think is a great gift to give them that will enhance their life?
I would say start with audiobooks. Because they're gonna notice that they're like, man, this is good. That's actually how I started. I think
Okay.
that's a way to start, but I would encourage to take the next step and get the physical copy.
Okay.
I think audiobooks are like the gateway drug.
Mm, I like that.
I mean, you could even get some of these people to say, hey, if you find a book you like, an audiobook, you should maybe check this person out a little
Mm,
bit more and see if they have a podcast, because you're seeing that now more than ever. These people have either YouTube, some kind of social media to see their daily uploads, or you're able to, get on their podcasts. It's all free.
yeah.
So check it out. And then once you start getting sucked in a little bit, because all those people are kind of connected in some way, because they'll recommend each other. There's like a huge network of these sort of celebrities in business, but they're like half into like the personal development environment as well.
Yeah. That's true. They do seem to be pretty connected.
Yeah, so just get started. Just get on there and just, hey, so you heard about Gary Vaynerchuk? Just put on one of his YouTube videos. Just check it out.
So, okay, so now I just have a few more questions I want to ask for you before we wrap this up. So, when you think back to, it could be a childhood friend or a friend of yours currently, when you think of your closest friend, what is one of the best lessons that you've learned from this person?
Okay, I got this. All right. So this person is actually, I never gave them, I never would have, give them a medal for it, but I would now because now that I think about it, he's a super great guy. I've known him now for a little over 10 years, 10 and a half. And, you know, he was always a guy who would live very frugally. He didn't spend his money on many things, saved all of his money. And he's very devoted to his wife. They have been together, they're high school sweethearts. So, and he's 33. Yeah, he's like 33. So they've been together for a long time, a long time. And you don't see that anymore. You don't see it as much, at least not a happy relationship. So I appreciate that amount of devotion to his wife. So there's two things: the devotion that he has for the person that he loves, and the being able to live minimally. I guess minimalism. He only buys what he absolutely needs, and there's a lot of value in that because we buy a lot of stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have become better about that. In the past, of course, let's go get drunk. All right, everybody, like start throwing money out there and don't even care. Go to the store, buy whatever you want. And, so I've gotten better with money, and yeah, I think that he's been kind of an inspiration to that.
Hmm.
Man, like if he can save up that much money, because he's told me, I'm like, dang, we're like the same age. I have nowhere near that. This guy, I don't know how he does it, but yeah, he just pinches those pennies.
Okay, so
So,
he's
great.
inspired you to be wiser with your money.
Yeah, give it a traditional approach,
Mm.
saving and being humble and patient, and happy within one's life.
Mm.
Comfortable in your own skin, not caring about what anybody else thinks.
Those are great things to learn from a friend,
Yeah,
especially from
he's a
all of
great
that
guy.
from one friend. That's pretty
Yeah, he's
phenomenal.
freaking awesome.
Yeah.
You should hear him do some, public speaking. God,
Is he good?
he- he's really good. Yeah, he actually did a toast for me once, and I was like, made me cry.
Oh,
A frick.
wow.
Yeah, I'm like, where does that even come from? Some people they just got it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it's like words are their superpower and how to deliver them.
for real, he should do it more because he doesn't do that kind of stuff. Weird.
Well, maybe you'll inspire him the other way around to get out there.
Maybe one
Maybe.
day, maybe he'll look at it and be like, man, you know what? I gotta start doing some new stuff. I don't know. I'm always trying to try to do something different,
Yeah.
not remain stagnant.
Okay, so with that, then, is there a time or are you currently trying to step out of your comfort zone into something else? And how are you feeling about that? How are you processing or going through the motions of stepping outside of your comfort zone when it's so easy to stay in that comfortable spot?
So I've actually taken the advice of become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Okay, so I've heard that,
Okay.
and so whenever pretty much being more aware of my feelings day to day, especially when I feel uncomfortable or anxious or something that's uneasy or indecision. Something where I have to stop and there's doubt. I don't feel confident any longer in what's happening in that moment or maybe that day, and trying to identify what it is, and whatever it is, kind of trying to hone in on it and say, okay, this is I need to focus a little bit more on this, because that is where I'm going to reduce obviously that feeling. I'm going to have more confidence, and I'm going to grow. So that's really where I should be focusing, because like you said, when you're comfortable, there is no growth. You just keep doing the same thing you've always done,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels nice, right? You're like, like, yeah, that's right. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good at that. That's right. And keep doing that. Don't become distracted. Don't become jaded. But to look at those things where there is a weakness that's present, and kind of just go for it. Just get more uncomfortable, and you'll be better because of it.
So what is
It's
some
kind of weird.
Okay. So what is something you're going for?
So what is I'm going for? I think I'm trying to get better at planning projects.
Is there any other
And
areas outside of your comfort zone that you feel that you're working on?
the only reason why I am where I am today is from when I first moved here. So that there was a key moment in my history that led me to where I'm at today. So that's when I lived in Michigan,
Okay.
where I hit kind of like a dead end road in a sense. Small town, just infested with drugs. Okay,
Okay.
so not the best. Good friends, but not the best environment.
Okay.
We're some average of 5 people, right? So I was surrounded by that, and so were they, and it was inherent uh, that it was going to come to that. But eventually, I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm not doing any more of this stupid stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna, get my life straight. Got the job, didn't even have a high school diploma, and I just did not see a future. So my dad came back into my life because I mentioned how he wasn't there before,
Right.
and he was able to offer his hand. It took me like a year actually to decide, so I hesitated, but I don't know. I guess the timing was there, and of course, I took the leap, got in my car, packed it up, everything I could take, and left my mom, unfortunately, and my sister. They were in. My sister actually already left, so I was the last one out of the house,
Okay.
out of us two, and I was like, I'm a year older, so not a huge gap, but so I left, and my mother was with her husband, and that's another story, but wasn't the best situation. But I left and started my life over again, and that's actually I met that friend that I mentioned to you earlier. I met him at my first job 2 weeks after moving there.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so I literally came from nothing, just my car and what debt I had on my car, what little work experience I had, and support from my father. Not financially. I mean, I stayed in his place, but I worked hard enough to get my own place. And really, from there, I mean, over a several year period, I worked to get everything that I have to this day, everything I've gained and lost, of course, in the process. But
Wow.
it all paid off, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
It ended up the way it is
And are you
for a
happy?
reason.
And you feel like you're happy with the way things are?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the way things are because I don't know. I mean, like, the suffering thing, it, that's something I can't that sort of came naturally. I understood
Hmm.
that the suffering is what allowed me to focus on the more important things, the priorities in my life, the things that really mattered. It wasn't about me. And for a long time, it was about me
Hmm.
and everything I wanted, everything that I thought I needed, but I neglected everything else because of it. I didn't care, about anything. I thought I did. I did. I faked it a lot. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this dad thing, but leave me alone. Or
Yeah.
like I pay for everything, so I could do whatever the hell I want. So leave me alone. It was kind of like that.
Okay.
I had a bad attitude about it, so it definitely changed. It changed me for the better.
It sounds like that just huge leap out of that comfort zone to out of your comfort zone was completely life changing. Like you changed your everything, your environment, your friends, what you did day to day completely shifted for you.
Yeah, yeah, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time, a lot of trial and error, and communication, willingness to be open about your own faults and knowing what you did wrong and trying to learn from it, or try to avoid those pitfalls
Mm-hmm.
in some cases, knowing your vulnerabilities. Don't allow yourself to be uh, temptation. Avoiding temptation is
Okay.
another one. So yeah, just a lot of nitty gritty and all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
if it
so it
wasn't
sounds.
for
Oh, go ahead.
if it wasn't for all of it, yeah, I wouldn't be here where I am. I've got to appreciate it.
And it sounds through that journey that you had a big mindset shift. So you talked about how your mindset kind of shifted. Um, what would you say your go to mindset is today?
My go-to mindset.
Mm-hmm. Like where do you want to live? What mindset do you want to live in?
Oh, oh, where do I want to be? Like 10-year kind of thing, or
Sure.
whatever, or mental state, something like that. Like,
Yeah,
what's
like
the
what
end?
mental
The
state are you
end game.
striving for? Yeah. Yeah.
What's the end game? Freedom. Freedom to make any choices I would like to make, and to see kind of see the fruits of my labor. I guess I want to see where it all goes. I don't know. I'm kind of really curious, and I'm hoping that what I do today really does pay off. I feel like it will. I feel like the investment I have will. And once I'm there, that feeling of like that harmony, that tranquility, knowing that all the work I put in, I can really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
With financial freedom, even like that, emotional freedom or anything like that that's out there. Just knowing that I can go where I want, do what I want, and knowing that my family can benefit from it as well.
Okay. So
So
let's
yeah,
pretend that you're at your end game, right? And all that's happened.
yeah,
So what would that Michael say to this Michael today?
that's hard. I'm guessing kind of what this Michael would say to the old Michael from 10 years ago.
Okay.
Probably like, hey, it's all gonna work out.
Mm,
Just keep on moving forward, and keep and remain focused, on what really matters. Kind of like Pareto Pareto rule, the
okay.
80-20 principle.
Yeah.
That's something that I believe is probably the best way statistically to approach anything that you're trying to figure out. So like, let's say when I talk about focus, it's where's the focus lie. So you need to know that 20% of the inputs equals 80% of the output. So if I'm how much energy am I putting on this thing to get the highest amount of output? Because there's somewhere in here I'm weak. So I need to look at the 20% of my input where it's a waste of my time, or 80% of my time is wasted. So I need to cut the fat, go in there and focus on the ones that give the most effectiveness. But how do you measure it? It really it's what matters to you, the priorities. So what's the priority? Keep it simple, okay?
Okay.
Family, money, health, friends. Like whatever you think. But those are like some of the major ones that whatever it is you're doing. Which one of those priorities is it hitting? If it's not hitting any of those things that matter to you, then don't do it. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So
Does that
focus
help?
on the things that matter.
Yes.
And everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything that you want more of that money can't buy?
Something that I want more of that money can't buy. Joy.
Okay. And how do you define joy?
It's that feeling you get when you finally get that thing. Like you're like, oh, I've worked so hard for this and I finally have it. Like it's mine. I can't believe it's happening. That's that joy. And because it's everyone's joy is a little bit different. But also those moments where I'm like hugging my kid and I'm just like, oh my God, I love you. Like, and like nothing else matters. Like those moments, like I want more moments like that.
Okay.
I enjoy those the most. You can only really have those moments, I think, one-on-one with a person. So if I could share those moments with someone, then I want more of that in my life. So kids is easy, you know what I mean? Like the kid's there, you're like, I love you. And they're like, I love you. And then you hug and it's like, oh my God, this is awesome. And
Yeah.
it's real.
Yeah. And really easy to create more of that, right? Just give more hugs and keep taking steps towards your goals, right? And then you're getting that progress that you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you'll be able to create a lot of joy for yourself.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope that at least someone could see, and when they hear my story, sometimes they're like, "Man, like that's really interesting, man. Your life is really interesting." I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't know. It seems okay. It's just like a normal, and they're like, no, I've been kind of doing the same thing my whole life, and nothing exciting happens with me. I'm like, all right, well, you need some excitement in your life, friend. Go out and start doing stuff.
Well, I think what inspires people is when they see somebody who's in one path, and it sounds like, I think when you said you're in Michigan, you were going down a certain path, right? And then you completely jumped that path onto another one. You were like, see you later, path. You don't work for me anymore. I'm going over here. And I think that in itself is very inspiring to people because it's very scary to jump paths and because you don't know what's going to happen. And it is uncomfortable. You don't know how to survive on this new path because you haven't spent time there. Where on the old path, you know how it works. Even if it's really uncomfortable and perhaps it's destructive, it's still you know how to survive in it. And then when you completely shift paths is this whole new world that you have to discover. And I think just being able to do that shows that there's something in you that a lot of people are striving to ignite, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Because now that I've done it once, I could do it again.
Yes.
I feel confident knowing that I've gone through probably the worst of it. That if I just pick up and leave, I can do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's weird the mindset I had then because 22. I think I was 22. Yeah, like nothing. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, hey, I'm just trying to be a good guy,
Mm-hmm.
And I like to party. Let's do that. You like the party? All right, let's party. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Get some booze, have a good time.
Yeah.
And get all loud and stuff. Get drunk and fall down. So that's kind of the mindset. But I didn't have the toolbox I have now for life. I didn't have it then, and you start to you start to pick up tools. You start to sharpen the blade. You start to you start to do those kind of things through life. And if you could find more tools earlier on, you're gonna be better off in the long run. But early on, I think naturally I had this sort of this unwavering faith that things would work out,
Mm.
and it didn't bother me. There was no worry, there was no stress. It was just be a good worker. So I had really good work ethic. Uh, I tried to do the best I could with balancing my budget. So making sure the bills are paid first. That's pretty much it. Everything else I just blew, you know. and and just trying to make friends and enjoy life. But because it felt like 30s, that's forever. It's forever. Like if I looked at myself when I was 22, how I am now, I look at me and be like, God damn, you're old. Like, yeah, and like, holy crap. And now I'm thinking about it. I'm like 22. It seems like a long time ago, but it doesn't feel like it.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know if you understand. But
I do.
yeah, it's like it didn't really seem like it was that long ago. It's like 10 years flew by.
Yeah.
So,
And you're still really young, right? Like 30 isn't as
absolutely.
old as we think it is.
Yeah. Another 30 years. I'm 32. 30 years, 62. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. Another 30, double my life. And a lot has happened. A lot more is going to happen.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so
So get in.
you talked a lot about tools. Is there like so out of all the tools you've learned and that you've kind of added into your life and developed, if you could only take two tools with you for the next 30 years, what tools would they be?
Two tools. Dang. You're killing me. It better be a hammer and a screwdriver. Let's see. Maybe a shovel. I don't know. I might be digging some holes, boys. All right. And my toolkit. We talked about Pareto's rule.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good one. That, holy crap! The more you practice it, it's an incredible tool. It's weird because it seems so obvious once you start breaking it all down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's see, like time management, right? That's a big one. I
Mm-hmm.
think time management. But the priority list it seems like a lot of the stuff that I follow, I don't really. I know I'm mentioning a toolbox because it's like a really easy way to put it
Mm-hmm.
because it's kind of abstract in a way.
It is.
Yeah, it's very abstract when I talk about different subjects. When I was doing my streaming on Twitch, which kind of slowed down a lot, but when I was doing it, the subjects would come up and it would just come out. So it was just something through repetition that helped it sort of help my subconscious. So it's for me to have like a clear defined tool. I don't know. I would say just being open to opportunity and having some faith. I
Mm-hmm.
think is a good enough. I think opportunity is what the one thing that I regret more in life than anything is passing up on opportunities.
Okay.
Kind of like watching the game instead of playing.
Mm.
In this case, life.
So then your tools would be get in there and play
Mm-hmm.
and focusing on your priorities and making sure everything lines up with them.
Perfect.
So, where can people connect with you?
So these days, I'm using Instagram. That's really the main way to connect with me. So just Acid Volta, ACIDVOLTA, and that's my profile. You'll find me. You'll see some posts of the motorcycle. You'll see some posts of my kids, me hanging out, a little bit of my travels. Um, yeah, so if you ever want to connect, just follow me on there, message me, I'll follow you back, and we can exchange some likes. And I'm definitely curious to see you expose to more new material out there. So if you have anything to recommend, definitely shoot it my way in a DM.
Okay, wonderful.
Um,
And do you
yeah.
have any requests or parting words for my audience?
Well, it's always been a pleasure, of course. We've been able to talk in the past, but I'm definitely excited to see where this is going for you, and I hope that other people feel inspired by what you're doing because it's not easy, but it's a ton of fun. It's challenging, and those challenges can be seen as opportunities in themselves. So continue to challenge yourself, find opportunities, become uncomfortable, and keep moving forward. And know there is always a light at the end of the tunnel.
I like that message. I think it'll resonate with some people.
Thank you.
So that'll be really great. Thank you so much for joining me and doing this. I really appreciate it. And I hope people will find you on Instagram. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a phenomenal day. And as always, you can connect with me through Instagram at Beautifully Changed or through my blog at beautifullychanged.com. And if you have somebody in mind that you would love to hear me talk with, please send me a DM of this person's name. Okie dokie, guys. Like I said, have an awesome day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.